God says beware, they are playing with you. God says beware, they are playing with you. Not everyone who smiles at you has your best interest in their heart. Not everyone who prays with you is sent by heaven. Some people have studied your weakness, mirrored your light, and disguised themselves as loyal, all while plotting against your peace. But God doesn't leave his chosen ones blind. When your spirit starts to feel uneasy, when your peace feels punctured without explanation, that is not paranoia, that is prophecy. It is heaven whispering, pay attention, something is off, you are not being punished, you are being protected. When the veil is lifted and the mask falls, don't cry, rejoice. The truth may sting, but it saves. The ones who are playing with you think they've fooled you, but they've only triggered the divine alarm system in your soul. The same God who gives discernment also gives deliverance. So stand tall, chosen one. This is not just betrayal, this is revelation. And what God reveals, he intends to remove. Let them go. Let the illusion break. What's ahead is too holy for games. You said, now start with topic 1 and make it of 1,000 words in a paraway and must give main title. ChatGPT said, main title, Perception is Protection. God's whisper before the storm, there is a sacred voice inside of you, quiet, unshaken, and undisturbed by the noise of the world, that speaks not in panic but in stillness, not in confusion but in conviction. This voice is God within, the divine presence guiding your steps before your natural eyes even see the danger. When God says, beware, they are playing with you. He doesn't always shout it. He stirs it, a sudden unease in a conversation, a heaviness in someone's presence, a dream that disturbs your rest, an unexpected coldness you can't explain. These are not coincidences, they are warnings dressed in ordinary moments. Perception becomes your first line of protection. The moment your spirit begins to feel off about someone, though their words still sound sweet, and their actions still appear kind, heaven is alerting you. God does not expose people through evidence, he exposes them through awareness. Before someone plays with your heart, your emotions feel out of sync. Before someone plays with your loyalty, your peace begins to resist their presence. This is not your mind imagining things, it is your soul sensing things. The world teaches you to give people the benefit of the doubt. But in spiritual matters, giving someone the benefit of the doubt can mean giving them access to destroy your destiny. God never meant for you to walk blindly. When your inner being tightens, when your energy feels drained around someone, that is your built-in divine detector working. The worst betrayal doesn't come from enemies, it comes from the ones we ignored the warnings about. You are not paranoid, you are prophetic. God whispers truth in the form of tension. You may try to brush it off, but the feeling grows. You may want to pray it away, but God won't let the peace return until you recognize the alarm. The Holy Spirit does not speak to the ears. He speaks to the soul through discomfort, restlessness, and divine disconnection. When your atmosphere starts to change, pay attention. When someone who once made you feel safe now drains your energy and dims your light, it's not always about your mood, it's often about their motive. They're playing with you, and heaven is warning you ahead of time. In your stillness, you'll feel what your eyes can't see. You will notice the inconsistencies, not in their words, but in your reactions. God doesn't need to prove anything to you through drama or scandal. He doesn't need you to discover text messages or overhear conversations. He simply makes you feel what is true before you can rationalize it. The problem is we often ignore the warnings because we don't want to believe that someone we love or trust could be false. We override perception with reasoning, but the spirit is not logical, it is supernatural. It doesn't need facts. It senses reality through vibration, energy, and divine impulse. Have you ever had a moment where you just knew something was wrong? You couldn't explain it. No one else saw it, but your soul felt it. That's not anxiety. That's divine intuition, the spirit warning you, beware. They are not who they say they are. And if you ignore it, the deception plays out like a script. Not because God didn't try to stop it, but because you silenced the whisper in favor of noise. Don't pray for signs and then reject the signal. Don't ask for protection and then walk straight into what feels off. When someone's spirit shifts, when your peace disappears, when your joy feels violated, it's not just an emotional phase, it's an internal revelation. God is revealing before he removes. You can't expect clarity while entertaining confusion. If someone is dimming your discernment, they are distorting your direction. God says they're playing with you and you already feel it. You keep making excuses for them, but the truth is you feel drained not because of what they said, but because of who they are becoming. Their energy used to nourish you, now it burdens you. Their presence used to feel aligned, now it feels like friction. That's not an accident. That's your spirit saying, danger is here. Trust that feeling. Stop needing them to betray you physically to believe what you've already felt spiritually. Stop demanding proof when peace has already disappeared. If your soul feels it, it is real. The enemy is subtle, but God is sovereign. He doesn't allow deception to go undetected. He simply waits to see if you will honor your inner perception as divine protection. Don't ignore the subtle signs. The ones who are playing with you may look like friends, partners, or mentors, but God sees what you cannot. He hears the conversations you're not in. He observes the intentions hidden behind compliments, and he's telling you beware. Their presence is not pure. Their access is not harmless. You've outgrown their manipulation, and now they must be revealed. Not for your punishment, but for your promotion. Because every time God reveals, he prepares. You were never meant to suffer silently. You were meant to discern early. That restlessness in your heart is not weakness, it's wisdom. You are not crazy for feeling what you feel. You are called, chosen, and covered. Let no one play with your purpose. Let no one manipulate your mercy. And let no one override the still, sacred warning that God places within your soul. They may be playing with you, but heaven is already intervening. You are not defenseless. You are not in the dark. You are not alone. Trust what you feel. Honor what you sense. Follow the discomfort. It leads to deliverance. Because perception, dear chosen one, is God's earliest protection. They play the role you assign. The power of belief in relationships. There is a sacred truth most people overlook. People in your life can only rise to the level you believe them to be. Your assumptions about them become the blueprint of their behavior toward you. If you believe they are sincere, you open the doors of trust. If you believe they are deceptive but suppress the thought, you invite confusion. The mind, particularly the imagination, assigns roles, and others unconsciously take their cues from what you internally accept as true. That is why God whispers not only, beware, they are playing with you, but also, look within, what did you first believe about them? The moment you assigned them the role of loyal, kind, or loving, they began playing it not necessarily because they were that, but because you imagined them that way. The role you gave them access. But here's the awakening. No one can consistently act against the character they truly are. Eventually, the mask breaks, the illusion fades, and their true nature reveals itself. Not because they changed, but because the illusion you sustained through belief began to collapse. People don't deceive you out of nowhere. They change only after your imagination stops upholding the role you wanted them to play. You are the director of your life's theater, and every person who walks into your world is an actor fulfilling the assumptions you've made. So if someone begins to manipulate, betray, or toy with your emotions, understand this. They may have gained the stage because of the script you wrote. That doesn't make their behavior your fault, but it makes your awareness the key to your protection. You cannot keep casting people into noble roles when their essence is rooted in self-serving motives. You cannot heal someone by imagining them to be holy while they are actively working against your peace. Faith does not mean ignoring truth. It means discerning through divine sight, not just physical sight. Many chosen ones get played with because they are so full of love, mercy, and belief in people's potential that they override reality with fantasy. But the spiritual laws are clear. What you consistently imagine becomes your experience. So if you constantly see someone as trustworthy while heaven keeps showing you red flags, you are using your power to uphold a lie. The truth is, people will only show you what you believe them to be until their character can no longer sustain the image you created. That's when betrayal stings the most, not because the person fooled you, but because you helped them play the role through your unwavering assumption. The only way to stop being deceived is to align your belief with your discernment. When someone makes you feel uneasy, stop imagining them as safe. When someone's energy contradicts their words, stop assigning them a role they've never earned. When your intuition sees through their mask, stop repainting the face. You are too spiritually awakened to let imagination be used against your own discernment. God has given you the power to assume, visualize, and manifest, but He never meant for you to use it to cover up deception. If someone is playing with you, it means you once believed in a version of them that never existed. Now comes the divine correction. Withdraw the role, rewrite the script, remove them from your stage. If they cannot walk in truth, they should not walk in your life. This is not punishment. This is protection. When God allows the illusion to shatter, it's not to break your heart, it's to free your mind. You have to stop assigning roles that violate your peace. Stop imagining loyalty where betrayal hides. Stop believing in good where God shows you manipulation. Your imagination is holy. Don't use it to lie to yourself. Those who are playing with you are not stronger than you. They're just reflecting the script you handed them. And the moment you take it back, the role ends, they leave, or they crumble, or they get exposed. And your life begins to heal, because deception only thrives where imagination sustains it. When the chosen one wakes up, the games stop. So check your assumptions. Examine the roles you've given people. Did you assume they were a soulmate? Did you imagine they were anointed to walk with you? Did you ignore red flags because your belief in their potential was louder than their actions? Let the mask fall. Let the role be revoked. When God says beware, He's not just warning you about the person, He's awakening you to how your imagination has empowered the wrong ones. But there is no condemnation, only revelation. You can reclaim your power, you can stop the performance, you can strip the role from every actor who does not belong in your divine play, and as you do, watch your life shift, watch peace return, watch the real ones, the true, sent ones step in and take their rightful place. Because when your imagination aligns with God's discernment, only those assigned by heaven will remain on your stage. The manipulators will fade, the deceivers will flee, the ones who played with you will be erased by truth. Your life is not a playground, your soul is not a prop, your purpose is not a performance. Guard your stage, revise the script, and remember people can only play the roles you believe they belong to. So believe wisely, assume rightly, and beware, chosen one, you are more powerful than you know. You are not being played, you are being awakened when God says, beware, they are playing with you. It is not to make you fearful, it is to make you aware. You were never a victim of their deception, you were a vessel for divine revelation. What they meant for manipulation, God is using for manifestation. You see, in this spiritual journey, the greatest betrayals are not punishments, they are awakenings. They are the crack in the illusion, the tearing of the veil, the disruption of your comfort, so you can finally see truth clearly. Those who are playing with you are actually playing their part in your spiritual awakening. Before this season, you may have been naive, overly trusting, or walking with emotional blinders on. You believed what people showed you without testing what your spirit felt. You gave loyalty to those who hadn't earned it, attention to those who misused it, and time to those who only drained it. But God never left you in their hands. He allowed you to experience the discomfort, not because He wanted you to suffer, but because He wanted you to see. The betrayal was not random, it was revelation. It was your graduation from surface-level perception into divine insight. God is waking you up through the very ones who tried to fool you. They didn't break you, they exposed you to yourself. Your discernment was always there. Your intuition always rang the alarm. But this time, instead of ignoring it, you felt it fully. That sting in your chest, that ache in your soul, that silent tension whenever they entered the room that was God showing you, this is not for you. And now the illusion has shattered. But instead of despair, you are discovering clarity. Instead of bitterness, you are walking in boldness, because now you know you were never blind, you were in training. They thought they were fooling you, but heaven was using them to mature you. This is the divine paradox. The enemy thought he could use people to hurt you, but God used those same people to awaken you. Every lie sharpened your discernment. Every fake friend strengthened your solitude. Every manipulation made you more anchored in truth. You are not being played, you are being positioned. What once made you cry now builds your character. What once broke your trust now births your wisdom. You no longer move based on flattery, you move based on frequency. If their spirit doesn't match their words, you feel it instantly. If their energy drains you, you don't stay. If your peace departs in their presence, you recognize it as God's signal and you respond. That is growth, that is awakening, that is spiritual authority. The version of you that once tolerated disrespect is gone. The version of you that once made excuses for red flags is no more. What they played with was the old version of you. What they triggered was the rebirth of the real you, and for that, give thanks, because without the lie, you wouldn't have sought truth. Without the games, you wouldn't have claimed your power. Without the confusion, you wouldn't have run to clarity. What they meant to break you has become your blessing, and now you walk differently. You no longer cling to people, you listen to your spirit. You no longer beg for validation, you move with inner knowing. You don't chase, you attract what's aligned, because the awakening has changed you. You have become too rooted in God to be uprooted by games, too grounded in truth to be shaken by lies, too healed to be hooked by flattery. And this is why the betrayal was necessary, not because you deserved it, but because your soul demanded a higher level of awareness. They played with you, yes, but in doing so, they triggered a spiritual shift so powerful that nothing can ever pull you back to who you were before. This is not pain, it's power. This is not rejection, it's redirection. And this is not the end, it's the beginning of your authority. From now on, you will recognize energy without explanation. You will trust your inner voice above external words. You will walk away quicker, stay grounded longer, and respond to deception with stillness, not emotion, because you are awakened now, and once your soul wakes up, it cannot be put back to sleep. So let them think they played you. Let them believe they fooled you. You don't need to explain your clarity. You don't need to prove what you saw. Let them live in illusion while you rise in revelation. Because God's chosen ones don't just survive betrayal, they transcend through it. What hurt you has now healed you. What shocked you has now sharpened you, and what tried to confuse you has now crowned you with discernment. This is not a breakdown, this is your rise, this is the unveiling of the real you, strong, clear, unshaken. They thought they broke you, but they actually baptized you in truth, and now you see everything. So be at peace, chosen one. You are not being played, you are being awakened. Divine separation is protection disguised as rejection when people suddenly change, when they distance themselves, betray you, or seem to vanish without explanation. The natural instinct is to grieve, to feel abandoned, to wonder what went wrong. But in the spiritual realm, what feels like rejection is often divine protection wearing a disguise. God does not always protect you by removing the storm sometimes. He protects you by removing the people who are the storm. When someone exits your life unexpectedly, especially after playing with your heart, draining your energy, or twisting your trust, it's not a coincidence. It's not even a personal attack. It's a spiritual operation. God saw what you didn't. He heard conversations you never would. He knew their intentions long before you became aware of the damage they could do. So he stepped in and orchestrated the separation. He let their mask slip. He allowed the relationship to shift. He stirred a distance that could no longer be ignored, not because he wanted to hurt you, but because he knew what was attached to them could destroy you. The ones who were playing with you never had a long-term role in your destiny. They were permitted to enter your life only for a season to reveal, to sharpen, to teach, and to awaken. But when that season ended, God removed them like a surgeon removing a hidden infection. The pain of their absence may sting, but it is nothing compared to the pain their presence would have caused if they stayed longer. Divine separation doesn't always come with closure. Often it comes with confusion. One moment things seem aligned, the next they crumble, but what you must understand is this: God is not in the business of leaving his chosen ones vulnerable. When someone's energy becomes a liability to your peace, when their motives begin to contaminate your spirit, when their presence becomes too heavy for your calling, God begins the process of separation. And it often comes through what looks like rejection. They stop calling, they pull back, they change, they betray, and your heart aches not knowing this is not an attack, but an intervention. God is not being cruel, he's being careful with you. You are too anointed to be surrounded by deception, too called to be connected to confusion, too valuable to be accessible to those who are playing with you. He sees how their energy is stunting your growth, how their words are subtly manipulating you, how their presence is slowly dimming your light, and before you lose yourself, he makes sure you lose them. That is divine love. He doesn't wait until you're broken. He doesn't wait until you're depleted. He acts early, and sometimes that looks like rejection, but heaven knows what you don't. God knows who can walk with you and who must fall away before the promise unfolds. And so he cuts the tie, he allows the emotional cord to fray, he lets their behavior push you away, because if he doesn't, you'll keep justifying their place, you'll keep holding on to what is already decaying. You'll keep rewriting the role of someone who was never meant to stay, and that's dangerous not just to your heart but to your destiny. You can't afford to carry the wrong people into the right season. You can't walk into your promise while dragging those who were only meant to teach you through the wilderness. When God separates, it's never without reason. That rejection was a revelation. That silence was a strategy. That breakup was a breakthrough. You weren't abandoned, you were chosen for a higher alignment. The person who left you was never supposed to witness what God is about to do next. You would have loved them too deeply. You would have carried them too far. You would have compromised too much, and so God did what you couldn't. He ended it. He severed it. He tore the connection so your soul could finally breathe. Don't go back trying to fix what God himself allowed to fall apart. Don't reopen doors that were divinely closed. Don't chase explanations from those who never had the capacity to walk with your anointing. They were playing with you and heaven knew it. They were inconsistent, confusing, half, present and double, minded, and God knew it. He watched as you gave them your loyalty, your trust, your prayers. He watched how they mishandled your light, and he said enough, not because he wanted to punish you, but because he needed to preserve you. That's what divine separation is, preservation. God removed them before they could poison the next level of your journey. He removed them before your purpose suffered. He removed them before your soul was too entangled. And even though it felt like rejection, it was the most loving thing heaven could do. You must see the grace in what left you. You must recognize the favor in what was blocked. Because every time someone walks away, heaven makes room for something better, someone aligned, someone real, someone who doesn't play with your spirit. You didn't lose anything. You were saved from what would have sabotaged you. The absence of certain people is the presence of divine order. Let them go. Let the separation complete its work. Your heart may not understand it now, but your spirit will thank God later. You'll look back and say, if they hadn't left, I wouldn't be here. That's the truth. Some doors are closed, not because of punishment, but because of promotion. You are ascending. You are evolving. You are being repositioned, and not everyone can go with you. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. So the next time someone walks away, the next time someone shows their true colors, the next time someone plays with your heart and then disappears, pause, breathe, and say, thank you, God, for protecting me through rejection, because divine separation will always feel like loss at first, but eventually it reveals itself to be the most merciful move God ever made, and you, chosen one, are not being punished, you are being protected in disguise. Stop justifying what heaven is trying to expose. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey when God stops being silent about what you keep making excuses for. You can cry, pray, and plead for clarity, but the truth is clarity has already been given. The problem is not that you don't see what's going on. The problem is that you keep justifying what heaven is trying to expose. When someone consistently disrespects you, dismisses your discernment, or plays with your emotions, that is not love, loyalty, or spiritual connection. That is a divine alarm going off in the realm of the spirit. And yet, too often, you call it a test, a season, or a misunderstanding, when God is screaming in silence, this is not for you. You are not confused because the signs are unclear. You are confused because your heart wants to believe something your soul already knows is false. You replay their words, reinterpret their actions, and stretch grace so far it snaps your spirit in half. But you were never meant to carry what contradicts your peace. The truth is this: when God begins to uncover someone's true nature, it rarely looks like a dramatic unveiling. More often it's subtle, a shift in tone, a delayed response, a cold energy, a strange dream, a sudden discomfort around someone you once felt close to. That's not just mood swings or emotional turbulence. That's heaven revealing the spirit behind the person, and when God shows you, believe it the first time. Stop calling disloyalty a rough patch. Stop calling manipulation a love language. Stop calling inconsistency a phase. You are not crazy. You are seeing clearly now, but the longer you justify their actions, the longer you remain bound to their deception. Some people are not confused about you. They are just committed to using you as long as you let them. And every time you excuse their behavior, you reinforce the chains they placed around your mind. They are not confused, they are calculating. They know you are full of compassion, that you'll give them one more chance and then another. But let this be your awakening. Stop justifying people who never had real intentions. Stop covering up what God is trying to confront. Because if you keep doing that, you will end up broken not by what they did, but by what you refuse to accept. You prayed for discernment, and God gave it. You asked for peace, and he removed it around them so you would pay attention. You asked for signs, and every conversation, every moment of discomfort, every gut feeling was the sign. But you didn't want to let go. You called it loyalty, but it was fear. You called it faith, but it was denial. Heaven has tried to warn you over and over again, not to hurt you, but to heal you. God is not trying to ruin your relationships. He's trying to protect your purpose, and when someone keeps playing with you, distorting your peace, interrupting your clarity, and wearing a mask in your presence, he will no longer let you rest until you confront the reality. They're not who you imagine them to be. They're not called to walk with you. They're not safe for your spirit, and no matter how much you love them, how deeply you want to see the good in them, if God says, beware, your love will not rewrite heaven's verdict. You are not called to save everyone. Some people are only in your life to expose the part of you that tolerates too much. When you keep trying to see their potential while God is showing you their pattern, you become the author of your own heartbreak. You cry over betrayal, but God says, I showed you months ago who they were. You weep over their silence, but God says, I've been silent too, because I already spoke and you ignored me. There is no breakthrough in denial. There is no healing in holding on to what heaven has condemned. You keep praying for peace, but peace cannot coexist with someone who constantly disrupts it. You keep asking for love, but love does not manipulate or confuse or play with your time and emotions. And you keep hoping they will change, but what if God is not asking them to change? What if he's asking you to release them? That's the part no one teaches. Sometimes the miracle isn't in their transformation. Sometimes the miracle is in your deliverance, the day you stop lying to yourself, the day you stop defending their actions, the day you stop twisting their intentions into something noble. That's the day freedom floods in like a river. You don't need more confirmation. You need the courage to act on what God has already exposed. Yes, you may still love them. Yes, you may have history. Yes, they may have had good moments. But none of that outweighs the spiritual truth. If their presence costs your peace, clouds your clarity, and confuses your calling, they are not a gift. They are a distraction. God's blessings never come wrapped in chaos. What he sends will not play with your heart or test your sanity. What he ordains will never make you justify darkness in the name of light. So stop rewriting their story. Stop editing the truth. Stop putting a halo on a pattern of harm. God doesn't just remove people. He reveals them first, and if you refuse to see it, you prolong the pain. You are too called to keep entertaining chaos, too gifted to keep explaining away red flags, too anointed to keep accommodating games. When God exposes something, don't repaint it, release it. Let the truth burn, let the illusion break, let the relationship die, because on the other side of exposure is elevation, on the other side of rejection is redirection. And on the other side of this pain is a version of you that is finally honest, finally whole, and finally free. So hear it again. Stop justifying what heaven is trying to expose. They are playing with you, and you know it. Now it's time to stop playing with yourself.